Welcome to Alpha Insights. I'm Marcus. Today we're digging into the cannabis sector. What's driving the headlines and what investors should watch heading into the long weekend. Joining me is Jonathan, market analyst. Jonathan, great to have you.
Thanks for having me, Marcus. Excited to unpack this. And hey, if listeners want to follow along or ask questions as we go, they can do that at stockalpha.ai.
Perfect. Quick note, U.S. markets are closed today, so when we talk prices or sentiment, we'll reference things as of Friday, March 6th. Let's start broad. The coverage feels mixed. How should listeners interpret that?
Yeah, that's a good point. The short answer is policy is the dominant driver right now. You get a state-level setback, and the mood cools. You get federal or international progress, and optimism returns. So the sector looks neutral overall. Some local disappointments, but some real progress elsewhere.
Give me an example of a local disappointment that matters.
New Hampshire just voted down a legalization bill that had passed the lower chamber. That's important because it delays market development in that state. Fewer licenses, slower retail rollouts. For most big multi-state operators, it's a narrow revenue hit, but symbolically, it can sap enthusiasm, especially for names that had expansion plans in the Northeast.
So for investors with exposure there, this is a timing and execution risk, not necessarily a long-term knockout.
Exactly. It's more about timing and optionality. You might see short-term pressure on companies with concentrated Northeast footprints. If your position is heavy and you don't like volatility, rethink sizing.
Okay, and on the flip side, there were some wins in other places?
Yes. In Arizona, lawmakers trimmed back proposed enforcement measures around excessive smoke and odor. That reduces criminalization risk and keeps nuisance enforcement tools more reasonable. So operators there face lower regulatory execution risk, and that can help real estate and retail decisions.
Interesting. So state by state is still the name of the game.
It is. And beyond states, there's federal and international momentum. A new advocacy group is pushing for science and patient-centered policy, timed with ongoing rescheduling review. That could open research access and, over months, create clearer federal guidelines if regulators act. Also, Colombia opened a specialized medical cannabis pharmacy in Medellin, which is a concrete sign of international commercial rollout.
Those international steps feel tangible, right? Not just talk.
Totally. International openings create new potential revenue streams for exporters and multinationals that can meet good manufacturing practices. That matters for companies with export capability, a way to diversify beyond U.S. state risk.
There was also a study mentioned about impairment. What should listeners make of that?
A new study found no significant impairment 12 to 15 hours after use in frequent users. That kind of research can influence workplace and road safety debates, which in turn affects regulation and insurance. If more studies show limited long-term impairment, regulators might be less aggressive, which is constructive for consumer markets.
So from an investor perspective, where are the key signals to watch in the coming weeks?
First, federal rescheduling timelines and any commentary from agencies like the FDA, CDC, or DEA. Official dates or guidance will move sentiment. Second, state legislative calendars. Small local compromises or votes can create trading windows for multi-state operators. Third, international rollouts and export rules. And fourth, ongoing public health studies.
Practical question. Should listeners favor ETFs or individual names right now?
When you look at the data, ETFs give you diversified exposure and reduce single-name regulatory risk. Individual stocks can outperform, but they carry concentrated state and execution risk. If you want less headline volatility, use a broad sector ETF. If you're willing to pick and monitor, focus on companies with balanced domestic footprints and international exposure.
Any specific company traits you'd prioritize?
Liquidity, diversified state exposure, clear path to international markets, and good compliance standards. Also, watch balance sheets. You want companies that can weather policy delays without needing dilutive financing.
Short reaction. Any surprises for you in this batch of headlines?
Honestly, I was a bit surprised by how symbolic state defeats remain. They hit sentiment harder than the direct revenue impact would suggest.
Right.
Final quick tip. If you own sector names, reassess your position sizing ahead of key policy or earnings events. Consider whether you want concentrated exposure or a diversified ETF sleeve in your portfolio.
Great. Before we wrap, 2, 3 quick takeaways for listeners.
Number 1. Policy drives performance. State setbacks are painful, but federal and international progress are meaningful long-term catalysts. Number 2. Watch timelines. Rescheduling commentary and state legislative votes will create volatility. Number 3. Manage exposure. Favor liquidity and diversification unless you've got strong conviction and can tolerate regulatory swings.
Excellent. And a reminder, U.S. markets are closed today, so use price and sentiment context as of Friday, March 6th when you check your positions. If you have questions about anything we discussed, you can ask us directly at stockalpha.ai. We answer listener questions live. And for more market insights, head over to stockalpha.ai. Jonathan, thanks for the perspective.
Thanks, Marcus. Always good to talk through the nuance.